Iran's plan is not to defeat America by force, it's to win by math. Let's start with the main character of this story, the Shahed drone. Made in Iran, exported in industrial quantities, it has already appeared in conflicts across the Middle East, Ukraine, and various regions of the world. When you hear the word drone, you probably picture the toy your neighbor uses to film a backyard barbecue. The Shahed is a distant cousin of that, a cousin who shows up to the party and blows up the gas tank. Each unit costs around $50,000. Simpler versions go for $35,000. In military terms, that's the equivalent of buying a pack of gum. Everyone else is buying Ferraris. Now comes the number that changes everything. Iran produces around 500 of these drones per day. 500 per day. Estimates suggest a current stockpile of approximately 80,000 units ready for use. 80,000 drones, small enough to fit in the bed of a pickup truck, launched from anywhere, hidden anywhere, each capable of destroying an oil refinery, a water treatment station, an airport, a critical infrastructure node. Then you think, but America has defenses for that. It does, and that's exactly where the math gets interesting.
The main American air defense system against this type of threat is called THAAD, Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, an interception system that works like a giant, extremely expensive goalkeeper. It stands in place, watches the sky, and tries to knock down whatever comes. Sounds efficient, but look at the numbers. Each THAAD missile costs around $1 million. $1 million to shoot down a $50,000 drone. That's already bad, but it gets worse. These missiles miss. In practice, you may need 2 or 3 shots to bring down a single drone, which means the United States could be spending $2 to $3 million to neutralize something that cost Iran $50,000. The ratio is 60 to 1. For every dollar Iran spends, America spends 60. Let me translate that into something more concrete. Imagine someone throws a tomato at you. The tomato costs 2 cents. You defend yourself by throwing a diamond at the tomato. The diamond costs $50,000, and sometimes you miss and have to throw 2 diamonds. Who goes bankrupt first? There's one more detail most people overlook. The THAAD system is enormous. It doesn't move easily. It's slow, heavy, and static. Any minimally organized adversary can locate where these systems are installed and attack them directly. When a THAAD is destroyed, hundreds of millions of dollars vanish from the American defense budget. Poof, gone. So to recap what we have so far, Iran has cheap, numerous drones that are easy to hide and launch. American defense is expensive, static, and sometimes fails. The math favors Iran in a striking way. But then you ask me, why can't America, the country that put a man on the moon, invented the internet, has the best universities in the world, why can't that America simply build a cheap drone and a cheaper defense? That's the right question. And the answer is uncomfortable. It all starts with the Cold War. The Cold War was that period of roughly 50 years between the end of World War II and the fall of the Soviet Union, in which America and the USSR stood staring at each other with nuclear weapons pointed at each other's heads. Neither could actually press the button, because if they did, both would die. Game over, no winner. So what did they do? They posed, they flexed, they built things that were enormous, expensive, and impressive, not to win wars, but to make the other side think twice. Massive aircraft carriers, supersonic bombers, missiles that cost the equivalent of the GDP of small countries. The goal wasn't practical utility, it was intimidation. It was saying, look at the size of my toy. Do you really want to come at me? That way of thinking stayed. It became culture, it became doctrine, it became industry. Then comes the second factor, and this is the one nobody likes to discuss out loud: the systemic corruption of the American military-industrial complex. When the American government buys a $1 million missile, a lot of people take a cut. The companies that manufacture the components, the lobbyists who sell the contract, the politicians who approve the budget, the generals who sign the purchase orders. It's a massive chain of people who depend on those fat contracts to live well. If the missile cost $10,000, everyone's cut would be tiny.
At $1 million, everyone gets rich. That's why nobody inside the system has any interest in making weapons cheaper. Cheap weapons means less money flowing, and less money means less power, less influence, less comfort for those at the top of that chain. It's like the artisan baker who charges $300 for a loaf of bread. Absurd? Yes, but he makes a fortune. Why would he change the model? The result? America built a military apparatus designed to intimidate nuclear powers during the Cold War, in a world that now faces cheap drone warfare and asymmetric attacks. Now, let me tell you about something most people completely forget when thinking about geopolitical conflict. Water. Not oil, not gas, not uranium. Water. There's a concept called water stress. It measures how much of a country's available water supply is being consumed relative to what nature provides. If you're using 100% of what nature gives, you're at the limit. Below that, you're comfortable. Above 100%, you're consuming water that doesn't exist naturally. You have to create water. Now look at these numbers. Egypt operates at a water stress level of 6,420%, Saudi Arabia 883%, Bahrain nearly 4,000%, and Dubai 17,000%. 17,000! To get a sense of scale, imagine your home naturally receives 1 glass of water per day, but your family uses 17,000 glasses. Where does the difference come from? Machines, desalination plants, enormous industrial structures that take salt water from the sea, remove the salt, and turn it into drinking water. Without those machines, there's no water. Without water, there's no life. It's that straightforward. Now, you already know that Iran has 80,000 drones at $50,000 each. Can you see where this is going? A single drone destroying a desalination plant. Cost to Iran? $50,000. Consequence: millions of people without access to drinking water. Iran doesn't need to send a single soldier to the battlefield. It doesn't need to face American fighter jets or Israeli tanks. It just needs to hit the machines that make the water. Without water, there's no negotiation, no resistance, nothing. This is the water bomb, and it's far more frightening than any conventional bomb because it's cheap, effective, and hits the civilian population directly. But wait, there's more. Before you start seeing Iran as the perfect villain with no vulnerabilities, let me be honest here. Iran has cracks, big ones. First, water. Iran itself operates at a water stress level of 72%, not 17,000 like Dubai, but already concerning, and there's concrete proof. Lake Urmia, located in northwestern Iran. In 1984, it was the 6th largest saltwater lake in the world, a vast expanse, vital to the region. 20 years later, in 2004, the lake had practically vanished. You could walk across on foot what had once been deep water, only dust and cracked earth. This isn't science fiction, it's a documented phenomenon. Iran has a serious internal water problem, and both the United States and Israel know this very well. Second vulnerability, Iran is not homogeneous. In the center of the country, the majority is Persian, but on the borders live Kurds, Arabs, Turks, Baluchis, and other ethnic groups who sometimes identify more with neighboring countries than with Tehran. Imagine a large house with 11 families. Some of those families get along better with the outside neighbors than with the families inside. Now, someone cuts the water to that house. What happens? Chaos. Everyone fights with everyone. This is the American and Israeli plan. It's not pretty to say out loud, but I'd rather be honest than pretend the game is cleaner than it is. Step 1. Attack Iran's water sources. Worsen the drought that is already happening. Step 2. Inflame tensions between internal ethnic groups. Step 3. Let the country fragment on its own. No invasion, no occupation. Iran becomes a mosaic of conflicting groups, too busy fighting each other to cause trouble for anyone else. It's a cold, calculated, and deeply cruel plan. That's why no one talks about it publicly, because if they did, people would ask, what did the ordinary Iranian citizen, the person who goes to work, raises children, roots for their soccer team, what did that citizen deserve to be having their civilization dismantled by the geopolitical interests of other nations? The honest answer would be nothing. But geopolitics doesn't run on justice, it runs on interest.
Iran isn't sitting still waiting to be destroyed.
it has countermoves, and the first of them involves something that goes far beyond politics: religion. In the Islamic world, there are two major groups, Sunni and Shia. Think of them as two fan bases of the same sport. They follow the same religion but have different traditions, different historical leaders, different interpretations. 90% of the world's Muslims are Sunni, which amounts to around 2 billion people. Shia Muslims are the minority, and Iran is one of the very few countries in the world with a Shia majority. But Shia Muslims don't live only in Iran. They're spread across Pakistan, Iraq, Bahrain, Lebanon, and various other regions. And Iran's first move is exactly this: to unite Shia Muslims worldwide against American influence. This isn't a future plan, it's happening now. Shia groups have stormed American embassies in Pakistan. They've attacked American diplomatic facilities in Iraq. There are protests and confrontations in multiple countries simultaneously. But the boldest move, the true checkmate, is different. Most Sunni Islamic countries are governed by dictators, kings, military strongmen, men who stay in power with a little help from the United States. American weapons, American money, American protection. In exchange, these leaders do what Washington wants. But the populations of these countries despise their rulers. They feel oppressed, ignored, crushed. Iran wants to channel that anger, to help these populations rise up, overthrow the dictators America sustains. And when the dust settles, Iran would be there as the leader who helped the people liberate themselves. This project has a name: Pax Islamica, a kind of golden age of Islam, where the Muslim world would be united and free from Western domination. If this worked, the United States would permanently lose control of the Middle East. It wouldn't be a military defeat, it would be a defeat of influence. And that's the worst kind of defeat because it has no short-term reversal. I'm not saying it will work, I'm saying this is the objective, and that real movements in that direction are happening right now. Here, we reach the heart of everything, the real reason why this story matters to you, to me, and to anyone in the world who has a bank account, pays a utility bill, buys groceries at the market. Iran's ultimate target is not American soldiers, not territory, not even oil. It's the wallet. Let me explain the system that keeps the American economy standing. There's a bloc of countries called the GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council. 6 countries: Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and Oman, the rich club of the Persian Gulf. The mechanism works in 3 simple steps. Step 1. GCC countries sell oil to the entire world, and they sell it in US dollars. Not euros, not yuan, not rubles. Dollars. This is critical because it means any country that wants to buy oil needs dollars, which keeps the dollar as the most demanded currency on the planet, which keeps the American economy at the top. Step 2. With all those dollars coming in, what do GCC countries do? They invest. And where do they invest? In the American stock market. Step 3. That money feeds the American giants: Apple, Google, Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon. Companies that together account for approximately 1/4 of all growth in the American stock market. 7 companies, 1/4 of the market. And who is heavily invested in those 7 companies? The GCC countries. The flow goes like this. Gulf oil becomes dollars. Dollars become investment in the American stock market. The stock market sustains the world's largest companies. Those companies sustain the American economy. The American economy sustains US global power. It's a cycle, elegant, interdependent, and extremely fragile if you remove one link. Now, Iran's plan in its most direct form. If Iran can destabilize the GCC, if drone strikes destroy critical infrastructure, water plants, oil fields, airports, strategic installations, the Gulf countries stop functioning normally, oil production falls, the flow of dollars slows, and the money these countries still have goes toward defending themselves, buying weapons, rebuilding what was destroyed. They stop investing. The money that was feeding the American giants dries up. When the money dries up, the stock market falls. When the market falls, investors panic. When they panic, they sell everything. When they sell everything, the market collapses. When the market collapses, the American economy goes with it. Iran doesn't need to launch a single missile at New York, doesn't need a submarine in the Atlantic, doesn't need a single soldier stepping on American soil. It just needs to break the chain. Drones hit the GCC collapses, the dollar weakens, the stock market crumbles, the American economy is brought to its knees without ever setting foot on American territory. Simple, cruel, and mathematically plausible. But you're thinking, will the rest of the world just stand by with arms crossed watching this happen? No. And here the story gets even more complex. Europe stopped buying gas and oil from Russia because of the war in Ukraine. So where does Europe get its energy now? From the Persian Gulf, from Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar. If the GCC falls, Europe goes dark. Literally. Factories stop, heating shuts off, European economies collapse. Which means Europe has no choice but to enter this conflict alongside America, not out of loyalty, out of survival. Russia, in turn, cannot let Iran fall, not because they're great friends, because if America and Israel succeed in destroying Iran, Russia is next on the list. Moscow knows this. That's why it supports Tehran, even if it's a marriage of convenience with no affection whatsoever. In China? China is playing the smartest game of all. It's sitting back, watching, staying neutral. The Chinese system was built in a way that any outcome works for it. Whoever wins, China does business with the winner. In my reading, what we really have are two chessboards happening simultaneously. The conflict in the Middle East and the war in Ukraine. Different boards, but the same players, the same interests, the same resources at stake. Energy, water, money, and power. So let's put everything in perspective. On one side, America and Israel. The plan is to fragment Iran from within, worsen the water crisis, ignite ethnic tensions, let the country implode. At the same time, keep the GCC protected and the flow of money functioning. On the other side, Iran. The plan is to use cheap drones to drain the American budget, destroy GCC infrastructure, unite the Muslim world against U.S. allied governments, cut the flow of capital that feeds Wall Street, and bring down the American economy without ever setting foot on American soil. Two plans, two completely opposing world visions, both already in motion as I speak these words. And what genuinely troubles me when I analyze this scenario is the following. Neither side is pursuing anything noble. One wants to destroy the internal cohesion of a country of 75 million people. The other wants to bring down a global financial order that, for all its flaws, keeps food on shelves and lights on in much of the world. There's no clear hero in this story. There are interests, strategies, cold calculations, and the result, whatever it may be, will not stay contained in the Middle East. It will show up in the price of gas you pay at the pump, in the price of what you put in your grocery cart, in someone in your family's job, in the financing of your apartment. Everything is connected. So I ask you sincerely, in your reading, who do you think is playing this game better? Leave it in the comments, not which side you're rooting for, which side you think is strategically smarter, because geopolitics is not the World Cup. There are no fans, there's only analysis. Like the video if you made it this far, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. See you in the next analysis.